Welcome back, everyone. Boy, you hear me say it a lot, and I really believe it. What a vital community Saratoga is. In a political environment that nowadays really just tends to be built on insulting people and sound bites, here you have a community that really pays attention to the issues and the priorities. There are people on individual bandwagons, but overall it's the community that gets involved, and we see it a lot. Joining me today is Bob Manns, who is the chairman of the board, board member for an organization called Saratoga PAC. And we're going to talk to you a bit about this organization. But we invited Bob back again because recently they got the information back from the survey that they produced. Based on the information they got from the citizens, they interviewed a bunch of candidates and made some endorsements. Some of it's somewhat controversial, but overriding all of this is the fact that this is a real effort on the members of the board to get out to the community and find out what the community is concerned with. Big open, Bob.
Well, thank you. I think you did a great job of being very succinct with what we did.
Oh, thank you. I'm on a mission too, Hey, talking about mission, let's go back. A lot of viewers know about the PAC. The name is somewhat misleading, and I want to get into that. But tell me about the mission. Why did you guys get together, men and women get together and decide to do this?
Well, I think there was a sense over the last year, there was a sense of certainly adverse discourse going on within city government, and to some degree, frustration and gridlock. And we came together and believed that we truly could provide some valuable, forward-thinking information that may help to move the city forward in a good way and provide for good governance.
Now, when you say that, any particular areas that you focused on?
Well, certainly the two key areas are to continue the economic vitality that exists in Saratoga, and to make sure that we secure the quality of life that we have here for the future.
Right, a very, very strategic balance, right?
Yes.
You see that almost in any community, but so much more so because of Saratoga. There's just something about Saratoga, I've been here most of my adult life, and I'm amazed by this city.
Well, we're very, very fortunate that Saratoga is as vibrant as it is, and there's a lot of draws to Saratoga.
Right.
And there's a huge history of the horse racing and tourism.
And with that, of course, comes a lot of pressure, which your group has done a lot to say, okay, look, there are a lot of pressure points here. Let's identify the important ones. Now, in putting the survey together, how did that happen? What was the criteria for putting that together?
Well, we obviously, every board has their own beliefs, but we really wanted to make sure that we were on point with what the priorities were of the residents of Saratoga.
Right.
And there's a whole host of topics and issues that exist today, and we tried to capture those within the questions. And again, this is a volunteer board of local businessmen, businesswomen, residents, and we did the best we could with very little experience on putting out a survey. I think we did a very good job, and I think ultimately the 15 questions hit upon the most important topics and issues in the city, and the response that we got back was phenomenal.
Now, in our world, we're always dealing in sampling rates and response rates and ratings and all those kinds of things. I think there's roughly 15,000 registered voters, right?
Yes.
Now, the sampling that you got back, I think you told me, was around 1,400. That's a very representative sample in the world of trying to analyze return.
That's certainly our understanding. We right now actually are sitting right around 1,200 responses out of 14,000 survey mailers that we sent out. And that's a very good response rate, and it goes to show that there are a lot of citizens in Saratoga that are very interested and very invested in seeing Saratoga continue to be a extremely busy and extremely good quality of life place to live.
Right, and of course that involves important decisions and the right decisions. Look, I want to jump into a bunch of things here. You took that list of priorities, those list of questions, then you opened up the opportunity, gave every candidate the opportunity to be interviewed. So you could, and the board could then analyze their responses and make a decision about who you would then endorse for those particular positions in town.
Correct.
Right. A lot of people decided to be interviewed. Some people decided not to be interviewed. I was particularly impressed with the fact that if they're not being interviewed, that's one heck of a lot of homework that you and the board have to do, because you've got to go back through the person's record and sort of ascertain what their positions were on those key issues that the electorate was letting you know about.
That's correct, and you're 100% on point. It takes a lot of effort to go back and see where these issues were brought up, whether they were in the media, whether they were in city council meetings, and pull that history and be able to understand what the positions that the various candidates that decided not to be interviewed were taking. Yep.
I got you. And the results prove that it was really a nonpartisan effort, because there were Democrats that you endorsed, there were Republicans that you endorsed. And one key thing that I thought, and I do want to delve into this whole idea of calling yourself a PAC, because the group does not give any financial support to any candidate.
Correct.
Now, this is strictly about the issues and about the collective thinking on the priorities in the city. Now, let's go to the word PAC. You're getting some resistance, and it comes with the territory, Bob. As soon as you mention the word PAC, people think the worst, right?
Yep.
Have you considered changing the name?
Yes, we have, and there'll be further discussion on that.
Yeah.
But the way that we're organized as a independent exchange committee, it's an open and closed book. All of our filings of all of our expenditures are public record.
Right.
So there's nothing that is hidden here by any means. And how many other people can say that? How many other groups? How many other candidates can say that? We're an open book. If you want the information, it exists out there.
That's right. Calling yourself an IEC after the Independent Election Committee, you might want to consider that. A lot of people, let's face it, it's politics. A lot of people like to hear themselves speak, you know, instead of speaking on behalf of the people that they're supposed to represent or be represented by.
Very much so.
I almost want to close out with something you said to me before we went on air that I thought was particularly appropriate. That in the whole idea of making a stand and trying to do the things that your organization is doing, very easy to be accused of being bipartisan. And you mentioned to me, it's not bipartisan, it's non-partisan.
Yes.
Give me that.
You got to look at the fact that this is the city of Saratoga Springs. Where is it that it's so critical to be a Republican, or it's so critical to be a Democrat? What are the issues that we're really talking about here? It's sidewalks, it's infrastructure, it's homeless. And where is it that a Republican or a Democratic party enters into this? It really doesn't. It's the important factor is how the candidates and ultimately commissioners or mayors address those issues. That's the critical part. So in our opinion, if you went back to a nonpartisan type election and you had commissioners and a mayor, if we keep this form of government, they don't have to be Republicans or Democrats. They have to take a position, and they have to foster the answers that we need to have answered and move forward with the work that needs to be done to keep our city vibrant with a good quality of life.
Well said, Bob. For those of you, there's a nice flyer that's around, that gives the questions and gives a lot of information on what the Saratoga PAC has tried to accomplish by doing this survey and by doing these interviews and by making these endorsements. Bob, thanks very much for coming in. It's going to be an active next week and a half for sure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.